All right, happy Monday, everybody. Got a review for you guys today. A late to the party review of Demon's Souls. I've inverted the jacket because I love when games do that, and if they do, I will always switch it. In case you think I'm lying, there's the actual real cover you mostly recognize, but I think this one is way cooler. Finally beat it last night. I did take some time off. I came back to it and I wrapped it up last night. And I've got to say, bravo, bravo. Now, this is a remaster of an older PlayStation 3 title. And I think it's a really good launch title. I think the reason it's a good launch title is because they get to focus on all the fun stuff. The 3D audio, the cool haptic support, the loading times, all that stuff, the graphics. They don't have to worry about the actual game. The game is already done. They're just going to tweak it a little bit and port it over and make it even prettier. That said, though, in 3, 5, 6 years from now, I think I'll still look fondly at this game. And I won't say, oh, it was good for a launch title. I think it just happened to be a launch title game. I'm a huge From Software fan, and I've been playing these games really ever since I heard about them. I didn't hear about Demon's Souls, wasn't really available in the US, but I started playing Dark Souls. I played all the Dark Souls games. I played Sekiro, I played Bloodborne, and this ranks up there with all of them. It's the easiest From Software game I've played, but it was still hard in its own way. And I think it's a good entry point for people who want to know what a From Software game is really like, but don't want to feel they have to commit 198 hours grinding your character so that you can fight Lord Gwyn at the end of Dark Souls 1. It's a good experience. It's a very compact, very basic story. There is a little bit of dabbling of lore via item descriptions and some of the NPCs that you will talk to. Not nearly as robust as the beautifully told story of the Dark Souls trilogy, but it's good enough. The combat is phenomenal. The graphics are phenomenal. The rewards are great. There's a lot of gotchas. There's a lot of really interesting level design. There's some fun mechanics that you have to deal with against a particular couple of different bosses that do mix up, I think, the status quo. I would recommend this to somebody who doesn't know anything about these games, but is curious. And I think Bloodborne too, but this one really, I feel like this is very combat heavy, as where Dark Souls is a lot of blocking and then poking your sword and blocking and waiting. Sekiro is very defensive based in terms of that perfect parry that you have to do consistently. I think Bloodborne has a lot of that parry system with your blunderbuss. Demon's Souls is, I'm going to swing at you like a madman. And it works. It really works for most instances. There's a few bosses where you have to be a little more defensive. There's definitely some enemies where you have to be a little more defensive. But for the most part, you can play it very like Rambo, right? And just get in there and just swing. And I love that. I would be remiss if I did not mention that the 3D audio in this game is world class. I would say this and Returnal are the games to play right now to experience 3D audio. I would have a hard time explaining it to you guys without you hearing it, but 3D audio takes this game to just new ways of just experiencing the world. You hear things with much more clarity farther away. You have a much better spatial awareness above and below you in terms of where enemies are behind you, because this game is a From Software game, so it's going to be a lot of gotchas. So they're going to drop in from behind you and they're going to come up where you think they shouldn't be. The 3D audio helps that out a lot. And it also lends itself phenomenally to the ambiance, where just like on other From Software games, the music only hits at very specific areas. A lot of the game is silent. It's just ambient noise. It's wind blowing through the trees. It's creaky chains. It's moaning and groaning of tortured souls. That's fun. And in 3D audio, it takes that experience and just amplifies it by 1,000. I cannot say enough good things about the 3D audio of this game. The haptics are phenomenal too. Little details, just little details, how each individual weapon feels when you swing. The feeling of vibration as you go on different types of platforms. The impact of a boss slamming his hammer down and shaking the world, or the moaning and groaning of like an enemy shrieking at you, like a dragon shrieking at you. The way it vibrates in your hands. It feels really good. And I'm a big fan of the DualSense anyway. But these two peripherals, I think, really enhance this game. Now, would this game be good without 3D audio or the DualSense insane haptic feedback? Absolutely. But you've taken a phenomenal experience and you've made it even better. And that's what I think makes this such a phenomenal PlayStation launch title. It's got the basics, but it also features the gimmicks, but in a way that matter, in a way that you will remember. Story-wise, as I said, it's a little light on the story. That's the only disappointing thing, if I can think of anything to say. But I love the ending. You get a choice. That's the way it should be. That's the way it is. Building up to it, there is a almost baked-in morality system where you can have a good world or an evil world, depending on what you do. There's a lot of replayability where certain things are completely inaccessible depending on what world you're in. There's a litany of special weapons and hidden rings and armor sets and spells and legendary weapons that you can craft and earn and find to really customize your character in a way that you want. I went with the traditional sword and board at first, then I dabbled in magic, then I ended again on sword and board. I always do this in a Dark Souls game. I always assume I'm going to go one way. I find a piece of gear, it radically changes the way I feel about playing. It's just great, and it's got that really good in-depth hint system where you can leave messages for other players, kind of vaguely letting them know what they can expect. You see traces of enemy deaths around you, or I'm sorry, other player deaths around you, so you kind of know what to expect. You can always summon a friend if you need help there, although I think most people will be able to beat this game on their own. As I said, it is it's generous when it needs to be, but it's also frustrating. There are some levels, particularly World 4-2, I think a lot of people will agree with me, where it is a incredibly long, grueling run to a boss. There's no good shortcuts, and it's hard. And the boss isn't hard, but it's getting there is hard. And I think you're going to feel accomplished playing this one. So major thumbs up for me on this. I want more of this in my life. I love these games. I love the challenge. I love the world building. I love the fact that this runs at either a really pretty 4K, 30 frame a second with world-class ray tracing, or the way I played it, a little dumbed down 1080p 60 frame per second experience, but it still looked beautiful. Lots of attention to details, the particle effects, the lighting. I think Blue Point really outdid themselves on this. I can't wait to see what they work on next. But if you are a fan of 3D combat games and you're looking for something different, check out Demon's Souls, because you will not be disappointed. That's it. That's the review. I didn't even hit the subscribe button until the very end. Thank you all so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.